Hello, all, and welcome to ET Travel World's virtual summit on the changing face of travel. I am Naomi Dias, and I'm the leader key account management with FCM India, and pleased to be a moderator for today's session on corporate travel, making smart decisions. With me today, my esteemed panelists are Priyanka Lakani, Regional Commercial Director, Middle East Africa, and Director, South Asia with Collinson, Sumedha Verma, Regional Sales Director, India, SAP Concur, Dr. Sanjay Pai, Head Travel, FM and Director Aviation, Larsen and Toubro, Devendra Saraya, Director Enabling Areas, Administration, Deloitte Shared Services, and Gaurav Shekhar Nagwekar, Head Travel and Logistics, Reliance Industries. And the first question to you, Gaurav. So much has been said over the past few months, and there are just too many theories, too many predictions. Some are optimistic, some are pessimistic on the state of the economy and the resurgence of travel demand. What is your take on this?
Yeah, so hi Naomi and good morning to you all. I personally feel it is pretty early for us to comment on these topics. I think it is important that most of the organizations would be keen today to see how fast and how and by when can the employees come to office first. I think that's the critical part, and I think travel would subsequently happen. So I think any organizations, as large or small, would be waiting for people to come to office, settle down, be safe and sound, and then uh, plan their travel. Is my personal thought. Now, if you look at the numbers in terms of economics, I think IATA had published that almost around 46 million jobs are at stake, because of this dramatic travel demand, which has been since past 8 months, and almost around 118 billion airline losses is expected by December 2020. That is exactly 20 days from now. So, these are few critical thing, and it is going to have a cascading effect. This is not only going to impact the airline industry, but also it has impacted the hospitality as well as the ground transportation. So, we see a cascading effect across the industry. Road to recovery, the analytics, the people who have invested their thought in this have been coming up saying that the road to recovery is not going to be before 2024. Now, that's a scary part because we are still in 2020 and we still have 2 to 3 years to go. So, how do we help? Uh, I think government have to support the airlines and the hospitality industry financially, and the immediate take would be that have reopen the borders for COVID testing, with COVID testing rather, and ensure that you have vaccination certificates which will allow people to travel. So I think this is my personal thought when it comes to the overall viewpoint for past 8 to 9 months now.
So interesting statistics, and I think it's a catch 22, isn't it? So you travel because you need to grow business. If you're not traveling, your business is not growing. Yet, you cannot travel because you're concerned of safety. And this brings me to the point of India specific. Priyanka, you handle many geographies. So do you think India is on the same trend as the rest of the world? Do you see a marked difference? And we are, I would say, a very relationship driven market. We need face to face. We need to meet our business partners. We need to feel, shake hands with the people we do business with, right? Very trust and relationship driven market. So what is your thought on this affecting our travel recovery sentiment, and what is the variance that you have seen?
I think travel is on the rebound. We can already see that. I mean, if you look at India, for example, the domestic travel is already nearing 50% of pre-COVID levels, right? So that's a significant stat for it to be near that. Similar to China as well, you can see China again, and it's predominantly domestic. International hasn't quite recovered in the same way. But if you look broader outside of India and outside of beyond the APAC region, even in other markets like Europe and to some extent even the US, where travel has not picked up quite to the same levels, but what you're seeing is a very positive travel sentiment. So you're finding people, for example, the stats or reports around travel searches are significantly higher. Advanced bookings are very high on the rise as well. So I think each one will fall into their sort of levels at a different stage. And what is really going to drive all of this is going to be, some of the initiatives that governments across the world are taking. So while we know that it will rebound and it will rebound at a different stage in different markets, the key thing is going to be that businesses will have to think about when they look at 2020 and the plan for 2021, how do they facilitate this essential travel for business in the safest possible way? And knowing that the virus is not going to disappear, knowing that we're going to have some challenges around quarantine, we're going to have issues around border controls and so on. And some of the growth I think we've seen in the promising progress we've seen in these airport testing initiatives. And Collinson have been involved directly as well. Like we've got our own testing facilities in Heathrow, Manchester, and the others. We're looking at digital health passports, which is working with Common Pass. So it allows governments to track globally where their customers are and how they're tracking. So I think as more of these initiatives come in, we've just worked with Cathay Pacific to launch from Hong Kong to Singapore trial, which is basically where you can fly if you've got a COVID negative certificate. So as we're seeing more and more of this, the multilateral agreements that will ensure long-term safe travel, I think we're bound to see recovery soon, but at a different pace. I think India from a domestic, China from a domestic are far ahead of the rest of the world.
Great points, and glad to hear some positive spin to this. And the fact of the matter is, there were seats not booked, there were hotel rooms that got empty. So, Dr. Pai, business travel got delayed or it's permanently lost. What is your thought on this? Are we going to, how are we going to get it back? Are we getting back what we lost, or it's a slow, steady road ahead, and it's a completely new dynamics and metrics ahead?
See, business travel has got a lot of learning and lot of new curves which is evolving around. It required a break also because it had never rested all these years. People could work on various gaps. They have overcome various gaps. They have built more of technological. It is quite obvious whenever any company is doing bad, the first to be axed is the business travel. So there's nothing new. But this time, the COVID pandemic, which was there, it was throughout the globe. That created an imbalance. Earlier, if one geography was doing bad, the other region is to balance it or fill the gap. But this time it was different. And companies who were doing bad or good were forced to ground things. The borders were closed. So it was a forced effort. Whoever was doing good also had to adhere by whatever. Our government did many things. In fact, during the COVID period, we were working to make people come back wherever they wanted. And ME, MHA worked on various schemes, various licenses for charters and everything. In fact, after that, Vande Bharat and then bubble agreement, which helped people to come back. Business travel is never lost, to be very frank. I know it had got a nosedive, but I'm very sure it will take off like a rocket. Okay, because at least our culture, which depends on personal meeting and all these things. And in fact, there are few research organizations who have said that while you meet in person, there is some toxin, oxytocin, which goes into the brain, and that helps two strangers, cooperate or come together. In fact, forget about that. It's normal a handshake or a hug. Of course, it is tabooed now during the COVID period. That's so the culture of India will definitely help us to come back on a better speed or better momentum than any other people. We are seeing some good news. Britain was the first country to give an approval to the vaccine. Canada has followed today. So we see, and somewhere or the other, those people's the manufacturers' base are related in India, because we are the only country apart from China who can manufacture bulk vaccines. So the global dependency on us will be there. So I'm very sure the frontline workers at least will get the vaccine first in India, and things will improve. See, it's researchers have always made a point that the rupee you spend on a business travel, you get 12 and a half times the return for that. So business travel is never lost. It is delayed, of course. It is delayed. So temporary solution is there, which is replaced by a human touch, but things will improve. Of course, little bit of leisure will take little time to come up. But if you see now, if you see the side hill stations, or the room occupancy is full. People have people have gone back and started living with COVID now. Okay, so I don't think business travel is lost anywhere. It will come up. See, it all depends on the parameters of the economy also. The parameters of economy, how a country handles. And when a country handles something, the sky, the pandemic, how they control it, how they make people equipped to remove the fear and be on a safe platform. So all these things has a cascading effect to the growth of the economy and for the growth of travel. I feel that there might be some changes of the way a person handles business travel, but there is no loss. In fact, there are few who have emerged and found this as an opportunity to be a startup or whatever. So of course, people have lost jobs, but I think now the service industry has got fragmented and it's gone multiple folds, and things will improve very soon. So I think 21 first quarter, at least the corporate travel should take a boost. Domestic travel has already started, but the network opening up in our country is yet to go up. And I'm seeing if Jet also is wanting to enter again. So I think so in the first 3 months of next new year, we'll see a few more airlines coming in.
And we all draw hope and strength from your words, Dr. Pai.
Thank you.
So thank you for that. And which brings me to a very interesting, I would say, dilemma that companies face. And Devendra, you handle a large portfolio and a huge bunch of employees where you are responsible for them, and you are working with other companies consulting them, right? And so if companies are not comfortable with employees coming to their offices, workspaces, etc., how are you going to be okay with them traveling for work? How do you encourage that? Because we at FCM have been working with many clients pan India on getting them back to recovery, right? So how do you manage this with your workforce, with employees? Are they keen? Are they afraid? What are you seeing in this space?
Thanks, Naomi. Basically, if you look at if you take a step backwards and look at it, see, this was a temporary pause, and first quarter, April to June, yes, the COVID levels were high, people were very cautious, but gradually from second quarter onwards, as and when the economy started opening up in bits and pieces, if you see some companies, mainly the manufacturing sector, the e-commerce have started working, and purely the services company which would work on technology have not yet opened because they are very cautious, and which is very right. Having said that, if I analyze it, that today also, if I'll have an overview, while my employee is currently not traveling for business, because with technology they are able to do things and work with customers and internally with colleagues, but the personal travel is on the rise. And as Dr. Sanjay mentioned, and I can say I see data, internal data, and also from the OTAs, if you look at say Diwali holidays, or next when you look at year-end holidays, everything is going full. If we talk about the domestic space, so travelers are gradually traveling. It is just that they want to be a little cautious, and companies also do not want to take any chances. But as we all know, this is a temporary pause. And while you can connect, let's take an example. Like currently we are connected on the Zoom call for this discussion, but all of us would have loved to meet up in a hall, or in a hotel or somewhere, and do this session on a face-to-face basis. It would give a different feel and different comfort. Same goes in business. Coming and meeting, going and meeting our customers. It's a different thing. And India, as we all mentioned, it's a very relationship-driven market. So obviously, that will be a very, very different space. And like you can do 3-4 meetings on a Zoom call or any other technology. But in one face-to-face meeting, you'll be able to close much more things than you can do over an electronic meeting. Currently, we don't have a choice. That's why we are on this. But as and when gradually things start improving, and maybe say first quarter now, we see a lot of positive news in the last 2 weeks of vaccine and development globally and even in India. As Sanjay mentioned, India is a powerhouse in production. For supporting all the global companies, and UK, Canada have started. So hopefully, the frontline workers and the first set of people in India gets it early. And once that positive sentiment start flowing in, people will automatically get confidence, and maybe travel will gradually start improving from first quarter, that is Jan 21. And as per some of the DGCA reports also, they expect the domestic flights maybe by April would be coming back to pre-COVID level.
So I think which brought about a very great point to me when you said OTAs and others are doing well comparatively. So it means people are traveling personally, right? I'm going to meet my family. I'm willing to take the personal risk. But when it comes to traveling for my company, for business enabling, why am I hesitating, right? And which then brings me to you, Sumedha. Technology has helped supplement some of the business travel, right? Me being from FCM, slightly upset that it could be replaced so seamlessly, and people fell into the Zoom and Teams and Google Apps, and that fear. But on another note, is there anything we can do to offer confidence to travelers and employees from a corporate standpoint on safe travel? And does technology, or can technology help in any way here?
Thanks for the question, Naomi. So I believe that many organizations will begin with a phased and a gradual return to travel as countries, states, and borders reopen at different times. And many organizations will limit travel to client-facing and definitely revenue-generating work first. So regardless of when a traveler is clear to return to travel, and even if the destination is open for travel and business, some individuals will be ready to travel while others, may be hesitant. So it's pretty much, going to be a personal choice. So it is important to emphasize that the decision to travel is going to be highly personal and ultimately up to the traveler themselves. And as per GBTA, 38% of business travelers ranked health and safety as the most important when traveling for business, which is, up from 31% last year. And technology has a very important role to play in traveler safety and obviously, boosting employees' confidence to travel. So we can look, we can look at the role of technology in all phases of travel for ensuring employee safety. So I have divided, these 3 phases of travel into basically 3, which is before travel, during travel, and after travel. And what can organizations do, and what can technology, do to, help with employees' confidence in these 3 phases. So pretty much, before traveling, employers can provide help to employees by making sure that your travel and expense policies are up to date and include allowances for things like personal protective equipment, and helping employees understand the safety rules, regulations, and quarantine protocols of the destinations they're traveling to. And maybe, providing resources like something, for helping with the latest in travel restrictions and requirements by countries, states, and suppliers. And then making sure that employees also have a visibility into travel plans, regardless of whether employees use, their corporate online booking tool, travel management company, or even if they book directly. Giving them tools to help them organize their travel itineraries, and making sure that they follow pre-trip approval process your organization might have in place, so that employees book with preferred suppliers, whether for ground transportation, air, or hotels. So with this, companies can not only manage their costs better by negotiating rates with the preferred suppliers, but also ensure that their employees are traveling with trusted airlines or cab vendors, or staying at hotels which maintain all safety protocols as per the company guidelines. So, coming to during travel or while employees are on road, so different travel planning applications can help, send reminders to employees on when to leave the home, so that they have enough time for airport check-in and for health and, security screenings. Educate employees about embracing no-touch services like check-in online, use electronic boarding passes, and, as much as possible, contactless luggage drops, wherever it is. And then, maybe advise travelers on what to do if at any point during a trip they feel unwell or sick, and who to contact in case of a medical emergency. Companies can provide assistance to employees whenever such need arises. So we are able to help our customers in this regard with the help of our platform partners, who provide duty of care services and solutions to support employee risk management and safety communications as well. And then encourage the use of contactless payments and re-educate travelers on how they can probably not use like paper receipts, and they use e-receipts, etc. Obviously organizations will also have to change their internal policies to enable that. And lastly, after travel and upon return, encourage employees to submit expenses promptly to assist in potential contact tracing if required. And one of the most important thing I would like to say, towards the end, is that it is very, very important for employers to listen to their employees. So gathering feedback from employees when they return, for example, on their stay, and then making adjustments as well based on their feedback, will definitely go a long way in boosting employees' confidence to travel.
I think great points. I have made mental notes on some and got some great ideas from you, Sumita. And so we have been helping customers with helping employees get tested and whatever support they need. But one point which stood out for me was reimbursements on health and safety equipment, etc. when they are traveling. I think this is something where many people can add it to their list, because I think it will surely help, where the employees again feel cared for and safer, to venture out. And with venturing out, we have this new concept now, two words which I learned in COVID times: digital nomad. I think it always existed, but it got thrown up front and center. And you have people excited about working out of anywhere, renting long stays, moving with the equipment. All they need is Wi-Fi and some fresh air. So Gaurav, what do you think of this new trend with the companies announcing that employees can work out of anywhere for the next 1 or 2 years? So how does that impact, business travel per se?
Numi, it's very interesting to know this, because today we have restrictions, and we are not yet back to office. So today it might look fine, but I'm not very sure once we are back to office how the organizations are going to react. What are they going to expect? So there might be some cultural changes expected, but I think that travel has to continue. There will be a whole lot of changes in terms of the concept. Like, for example, today it's a typical buyer's market, but I see it go very far coming from that. From buyer's market, we are going to move to a supplier's market, where the supplier is going to demand a service fee for the services what they're going to provide. It's like walking into a McDonald's and you have a burger for maybe $1, but you're paying that service fee of maybe 0.5 cent or whatever it is, and that benchmark is definitely going to come in. The second point, which keeps on lingering my mind, is on digital transformation. I think this is what most of the corporate organizations are looking out for. And the expectation is that, TMCs, the hospitality industries, they invest a great amount of, a great amount of financial support to ensure that, they come up with products which are India specific. I think I've been speaking it in most of my forums, but I think the key is India specific digital transformation that will get us a new era in having people book their travel from wherever and whichever place they are. So I think that's how I would say that digital nomad would change. But otherwise, I think once we are back in action, as Dr. Pai and Devendra also mentioned, that travel has to continue.
And I think what you said, two things, music to my ears: service fees, better service fees, and of course investments in the technology space.
Yeah.
To
So sorry. So it's not only better service fee. The expectation is both ways. So
absolutely,
I pay the service fee, but I
but
get
I
a
get,
digital transformation.
yeah.
I
So
think that's the key.
a superior customer experience as well.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I should be knowing that here is the person who's speaking on the phone, and through bot, he's raising his request.
Yeah.
It's getting executed, and analytics are being thrown through the system on real-time basis. So that's the kind of technology or digital transformation. That's what the industry is looking out for.
No, absolutely, Gaurav. And we at FCM, I can vouch for, it's a 180-degree, and this entire focus actually has changed. How can we give great service from a consultative, standpoint, give quality, but at the same time, a lot of the day-to-day routine work can be managed better by, superior tech, and make it very easy for travelers today. So great points there, and which brings me to, Priyanka. uh, we are going to invest in technology. We are going to make it easier. Example, we are going to deliver great experience. How do we get employees who are now sitting at home absolutely comfortable in their cotton clothes, right? Comfort, meeting, in 5 minutes you get ready with your coffee at home, and you shut down, you spend time with your family. How do you get them to close that laptop on Zoom and Teams and get out there, get back on the planes? So what is your take on this?
I mean, also, I think there are a lot of companies with the different policies, and they're all sort of thinking, how do we get people back into the office? And I think there are a couple of things that are going to work around that and everything. So if you look at the whole duty of care is going to become a big part of the whole thing, right? That when you come back to the office and everything, we've got the right procedures in place, we've got the right sanitation, the right elements and stuff. That's going to be a big part of it. When people are traveling again, it is going to be a lot around, around that when you do travel and everything, what are the companies going to do in terms of taking care of you? To all the points that Sumita mentioned earlier, she talked about the whole travel risk management as a service and how that's going to play a very big role going forward. Many companies actually offered that in the past, but if you look at them today, a lot of the employees were not aware of these benefits. Many of the employees didn't know that the company offered them. They would travel and sort of sometimes later on find out. So a big portion of this is going to be around communication around company. The stuff they're going to do to make people aware of what these benefits are. We've also heard of the ISO standards that are going to now incorporate the duty of care elements that you need to bring into your companies and into your policies. So I think a mix of the right policies, procedures, giving the assurances to the employees, along with some of the initiatives in terms of the regular people and culture elements that you will have to do to incentivize people to get back into the working environment, right? That's going to be a combination that's going to probably drive it.
Absolutely. And, you know, there is doom and gloom, and then there is hope. And, you know, to you, Sumedha, do you think, like, you know, I've heard this statement to death, right? That in every crisis, there are opportunities. From history, right, is quoted year on year. And so the question to you is, are there any positives you think at all associated with COVID-19, especially from a traveling employee standpoint?
Yeah, absolutely, Naomi. So I, agree with Priyanka when she said that companies are definitely, looking at travel risk management or employee health and safety, more closely. So I believe, same thing is happening. Companies are finally given a strong push to look beyond cost reduction to, better protecting their employees. So Indian businesses, they've been traditionally focused on lowering costs when it comes to travel by sourcing for the cheapest airfares, hotels, etc. But with employees today worried about flying and willing to quit their positions or companies to avoid unsafe travels, firms have little choice but to improve their duty of care to them. So in the coming months, firms will need to find ways to broadly and consistently extend this care to staff while still keeping travel costs down. And COVID-19 has obviously, put a pressure on companies to make their policies also better for medical expenses. And I believe that improvements that benefit employees are definitely on the way. And lastly, employees look likely to be able to get some time back by skipping non-essential travels. And which means, they can definitely spend time with their families, and this cutback in trips will definitely help, safeguard the health of employees by giving them more time to spend on productive work or with their families. So these are the, positives, I believe.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, it's largely, as you said, very personal, a lot to do with an individual's perception, and a lot to do with the leadership perception of organizations today, and coming to perceptions and how the stock markets react to that. So while this question, Dr. Pai, I'm asking you, I'll then invite everyone to give their thoughts and opinions as well. So the vaccine is announced, and all of a sudden, you have an impact on Zoom and Netflix shares, right? Them going down. So how does that make you feel about the sentiments that people have, with this vaccine affecting, something like Zoom and Netflix?
Of course, somebody must have observed about Zoom and Netflix shares going up. But if you have observed, Pfizer shares in BSE and NSE is coming down. Okay, so that
peak when it was announced too.
Yeah. So it was down yesterday by 15 rupees or whatever in INR. So of course, Zoom and Netflix, Zoom has been used very exclusively, or because it's a free channel and you can create a lot of meeting rooms and all that thing. It has its own thing. It has penetrated into the Indian market because the users are more. Of course, the corporate world have chosen many other platforms to be secured and whatever. That's what I'm saying. Business travel is going through an evolution here, and it is going to be reshaped. Okay. So like Gaurav said, Sumedha said, time is an essence and wow factor is a must. So we have been hammering from last 1 decade or whatever that Indianized model, okay? Like a rupee sign was never recognized earlier, and your hotel bookings abroad was always on USD. So new things might come in picture because now it's a buyer's market. Asia is the largest buyers and a network market for airline, hotels, and people who spend outbound. So things will be different. I feel most of the industry here, Indian industry I'm talking about, we were never focused on SOAS and other things on the employee safety and all that things. It was only the MNC company which focused on this. because this was adding to the cost. Okay, small SME, large could manage a LRAM center or something of that sort. But this all was adding to the average ticket price of a traveler. But now there is a forced effort that employees are demanding. Employees want a comfort on the safety. They don't want to compromise, because here the safety is fatal. So there is a fear factor. So employees are forcing, like I think so Priyanka or someone said that they're ready to leave, okay, but not compromise on whatever they do. So there are a lot of evaluation which is happening. People are changing, like DGCA has changed because there was FAA audit, ESA audit. So there are a lot of audits which are happening, which is changing the way which we used to operate earlier. We used to compromise based on little cost here and there. So there are focus is more on safety, and time is an essence. Like Gaurav said, artificial intelligence, bot, and all these things. Well, earlier, a travel agency, I'm not talking about a travel management company, they used to focus on a delivery of an air ticket. They used to focus where the revenue is more. Some never used to supply the correlated verticals like forex or leisure. Even if they had, that was a different verticals. They was headed by someone else, and he would not recognize you as a travel or accountable manager of that. So now things are changing. Things are changing for better. I think, of course, Zoom, a large part in future will take a huge share of the current chunk which is happening. But as I said, business travel virtually, when it happens, it will see, these are the new entrants who have got into a mileage sort of thing in the Indian market. So this is one more industry which is coming up. But in the employee compartment, I think our industry will use both hybrid, non-hybrid model for employees to move. And of course, Zoom, Netflix, if they keep upgrading things and coming up with new avenues and secure platforms, most of the companies will definitely adopt. Now, even in a small complex, they are holding AGMs or EGMs on Zoom and other platforms, which is recognized by the general body. So of course, Zoom and Netflix has to be happy. The shares are going up. The market cap is also going up for them. All put together, the others will also take a bounce back. And I think the vaccine announcement in the market and the after effects, if the freezing period, which they are trying to observe now, I think that will be a game changer for the upliftment of the travel. Otherwise, it will be a cautious travel. What's happening. So people don't want to take a chance, because the people in most of the industry, whoever was exposed to any business needs, were taken care for the pre and post COVID. In case or asymptomatic patients. So 14 days if he doesn't want to expose himself at house, he was put in a hotel. So the hotel industry was doing good, to be very frank, because we had multiple agreements with multiple hotels here. So they were going full, and they had a different model, or they took the risk of getting into that model where they were looking after the asymptomatic patients. And that was a huge thing. It was not 1 day, 2 days. It was 14 days for one employee. So things are there.
Kind of a win-win, and so we can all coexist basically. Zoom, Netflix, travel.
Of course.
All coexist.
Of course.
And Devendra, any parting thoughts on this segment from you?
With regards to your question on Zoom and Netflix, I would say, when it started, because the way the COVID developed and everybody went under that fear of COVID in the, say, April to June period. So people were more at home, and Netflix demand was increasing. And, a lot of euphoria around that, and a lot of expectations on Zoom and Netflix, which, if they were moving from, say, 100 to 120, because of the forecast, the share must have gone from 100 to 100, 200 almost. Now, when they say gradually life coming back to little normal, not exactly normal, but gradually seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, obviously it's coming to a more realistic picture. Hence, there is a little slowdown in that. But in long run, obviously, people have been given a taste of this, that this can occur and we can coexist with this. Technology and, usage of more social media and satellite television. So obviously, in long run, this is once you taste blood, you want to have it again and again.
So the best of
Sure.
everything, yeah. The best of
Absolutely.
everything, yeah.
It will be more on a hybrid model in long run.
No, I think great point. Your thoughts, Priyanka?
I think it's a new learned behaviors, right? I mean, these are new learned behaviors. They're not going to disappear. They're going to progress and evolve as you would expect. And I think some of the areas, earlier, I would have never thought about my mother-in-law being on Zoom, right? I would have never thought about my son being on Zoom, my daughter being on Zoom. Everybody's on it. So it's not just to employees or to customers, but it's really hit every age and every category, everybody, right?
It's in your home.
Yeah, I think while COVID has, obviously taken it and given it a real boost, but many of the companies were already on that track. So if you looked at, at Collinson, for example, we were already using Teams. We were already using collaboration tools and everything as a global company, So there was already an upward trend towards it. So there was at some point to do. It's just that with COVID, everything's happened overnight, right? It's just everybody's have had to do it. And, so today, while you have Netflix, people still watch television sometimes, right? I mean, you have this, so it's never, everything finds its own space. And I think that's how things will settle down. But if you come back to just a little bit, the conversation we were having a little earlier around customers and employees and how things are changing. And we talked about, contactless, we talked about this whole duty of care, TRM and the others. One of the other things also that we're noticing, and we do a lot of programs which are lounge programs like Priority Pass. It's a global lounge program that gives you access when you're traveling. And it's something that we're finding now increasingly, companies saying that, okay, my employees are traveling and I want to give them access to a lounge because I need to give them that restricted space, because the cost of things, if things go wrong and they, if he's just gone to, let's say, fix a machine and he gets stuck for 14 days, I have to put him in a hotel. The cost of that is much more bigger. I'd rather him sit in a lounge and pay those, whatever the lounge visit fees that I need to do and, sort of overdo that. So there's a growing trend in our new sectors, which we're considering such kind of benefits outside just the health and safety and travel risk management, So even that space is evolving quite a bit, I think.
So I think the point in that, they are open to a nominal upfront cost as opposed to the potential, cost. It's like an insurance concept, right?
Yeah,
they're okay to pay that little bit upfront, and I think that their minds have opened up. I think great insight on that. Gaurav.
So let me ask you this question, slightly dramatic, but let me ask you this: that how many blood groups do we have? Is the question to you, Naomi.
A, B positive, O positive, then the negative.
Okay. So let me answer that. It's 8. Okay. So how different can we be across the globe? So the point when I'm coming back to Netflix is specifically is that even Netflix have started understanding that they need to reassess, they need to re-engineer, because you have Prime Videos, because you have Disney Stars. So they also need to ensure that they keep on redeveloping, reassessing, reanalyzing, reworking the product. And once you get it back to our industry, I think that's the missing link. I think which we as an industry need to keep on focusing and ensuring that we get the best out for the corporate world. So I think that's
brilliant. And I think I can speak for my travel company counterparts in the industry as well, that we are all cognizant, and it was a huge wake-up call as well, that we need to do more. We need to do more for our customers. We need to do more for ourselves. So absolutely, I think that has been brought home to us. We realize what is our bread and butter, right? And, we are grateful for the blessings that we do have after, coming through this bruised 9 months. We are looking forward to something really positive going forward. 8 blood groups, Gaurav, great point. brings home that we are all in it together, right? And we are all the same. So Meda, parting thoughts on this from you.
Yeah. So Naomi, I think what I believe is that, I mean, this is like a very globe-changing, life-altering, sort of a scenario. And I do believe that whenever there's something like this, happens, which is like a tipping point, and beyond that, everything like changes. So everybody has to find their own calm and the right balance of doing things, whether it's like traveling. Like for me personally, I'm like, okay to travel right now. Customers are probably not ready to meet me face to face, but while I do have, people in my team, and they're very comfortable, being at home and, taking the calls while, through all the different, virtual methods which are possible. So I think everybody, everything in this world can coexist. And so I feel the same about this situation as well. Yeah.
Brilliant. And me too. I'm happy to get on that plane. More than happy to go and meet customers face to face. And it is what it is. And, as a closing statement, I wanted to say, I think great interaction. I have drawn strength and hope from all of you. It's not all doom and gloom. And I think it's optimism peppered with some sort of, realistic expectations. And I think we all have a work cut out. Not only from a corporate standpoint or as employees, but also as people with families and the responsibilities towards them and their safety. So I think thank you so much for your time today. I have lots of mental notes. I'll send you all your consultancy fees after this call. And thank you so much. And I think thank you to Peden and the ET Travel World team for arranging this for us. Yeah, thank you, everyone.